Hello everybody! Today we're starting a new series where I'll be pointing out literary reference in the Fire Emblem series. In this first one I'll be focusing specifically on the hero's relics of three houses. Let's jump right into it. We'll start with Areadbhar, which in Irish mythology was a spear that was one of the many weapons owned by the god Lugh. There's another reference for you. It was a weapon that, quote, had to be kept in a cauldron of cold water to prevent it from bursting into flame with its bloodlust. Sounds pretty apt if you ask me. Similar to Areadbhar was Luin, which was also a spear owned by Lugh, though it later came into possession of other characters from Irish mythology. Also similar to Areadbhar, it could burst into flames and kill its wielder if not kept in a cauldron of dark, red fluids. In one instance, Luin caused the death of one of its wielders immediately after killing a beast, and poisoned blood dropped to his skin from the lance. What a way to go. Next we have Failnaught, which was a bow used by Tristan, one of the knights of King Arthur's Round Table. His most well-known story, of course, is Tristan and Isolde, which, ironically, I'm not certain is actually a part of the Arthurian legends. In the story, Tristan travels to Ireland to fetch Isolde to be wed to his uncle, the King of Cornwall, only for Tristan and Isolde to fall in love with each other. Spoiler warning, it doesn't quite work out. This story has been told multiple times in various ways throughout history, but perhaps the most famous rendition is the opera Tristan und Isolde by Wagner. I promise I wasn't planning to make a Wagner reference in this video. Moving on, in Greek mythology, Aegis was a shield used both by Zeus and Athena, which featured the head of Medusa, which was delivered to Athena by the mythical hero Perseus. Aegis also occasionally refers to the breastplate of Zeus, which would also be adorned with the head of Medusa. Next we have Blutgang, which was the sword owned by King Háma of Old Germanic mythology, who received his name after killing a dragon in the middle of the woods. Kind of fits with Marianne's paralogue, doesn't it? Unfortunately for Háma, Blutgang was destroyed in a duel between himself and soon-to-be Gothic King Theodoric. Keep in mind the names of these characters differ depending on the various regions in which these stories were told. Now with Crusher, the name doesn't exactly make it too obvious, but it's the rough English translation of Mjolnir, which, as most of you know, was Thor's hammer, which features prominently in Norse mythology, including Thor's battle against the Midgard serpent. Next we have the Vajramushti, which is both a knuckle-duster-like weapon as well as the name of a form of martial arts that originated in India, which involves using the weapon in hand-to-hand combat. It is also a name given to Indra, king of the gods in Hindu mythology. We continue with Thyrsus, which was the staff owned by the Greek god Dionysus, and other Thyrsus-like staves were used by his followers. Its description varies depending on the source, but it is said to symbolize fertility and pleasure. Next we return to Norse mythology for the Dromi fetters. They were constructed by the gods to bind the wolf Fenrir, who was one of the children of Loki. This was actually the god's second attempt at binding the wolf. Despite the strength of the Dromi fetters, Fenrir broke free of them, and it took the gods one final attempt, this time with the Gleipnir fetters, to finally bind him. Now we arrive at the Sword of the Creator. As far as I can tell, there's no reference for the English name, but the Japanese name, Tentei, translates as Heavenly Emperor. One use of the name Tentei comes from a folk tale associated with the Japanese festival Tanabata, where Tentei is the deity-like emperor of the heavens. Next we have Thunderbrand, and while its name may not have a direct reference, it appears to be modeled after the seven-branched sword created either in ancient China or Korea, which was gifted to the ancient Japanese Empress Jingu during the Yamato period of Japanese history. The weapon actually still exists to this day and is kept at a shrine in the Nara prefecture in Japan. Now we go to Freikugel. In the opera Der Freischütz by Karl Maria von Weber, the Freikugeln were special bullets that never missed their mark, created by the devil and used by the main character Max in a hunting competition. There were 7 such bullets, 6 controlled by Max, the other controlled by the devil himself, which, without spoiling it too much, leads to the opera's tragic end. Next we have the Raphael gem. Raphael is the Greek form of the name Raphael, who in the Abrahamic religions is one of the archangels and was often associated with health and healing. Pretty fitting for Mercedes. Now, in my research I couldn't find much information on Ymir. Aside from that in Ugaritic mythology, it was a weapon used by the god Baal. And last, and in this case least, we have the Lance of Ruin. Unfortunately, as far as my research has taken me, there's no reference associated with the Lance of Ruin. What a way to end the list. And that's all I have for today. But what do you all think? Did I miss anything? Did I get something wrong? Does the Lance of Ruin actually have a reference that I completely missed? Feel free to let me know in the comments. But with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.